Shall we start?
Yes, sir.
Sir,
We are in literature review. Very much important where you go for deciding about your topic or research issue. You have to understand what you mean by literature review, how to review, in what way you have to precise the theme. That is very much important. Otherwise, it's very difficult to, submit. With that view, here I just saying few words related to that. One thing, if you go by next slide, what actually we have to consider in terms of task of literature review. One thing is ensures which you are not reinventing the helm. It gives credits to those who have laid the groundwork for your research. Demonstrate your knowledge of the research problem. Demonstrate your understanding of the theoretical and the research issue related to your research question. Here, what actually I am going to say, of course, we are going to see the literature which is related to our topic. On that, when we reviewing, there normally they are also having some introduction, in some extent a little bit literature review. After that, a purpose or aim or objective of the study. Then they may have one tentative hypothesis, also one or two hypotheses. Then they are going to consider that methodology. After that, analysis, and then results, we are going to see it. By having that literature, we have to consider in some extent in a precise manner. I mean, when you go for reviewing 20 to 40, 40 to 80, 80 to 160, like that, suppose that is depending upon your capacity. By that, you have to develop on your own structure what actually you have referred or reviewed by having that information. You have to develop in one table form. Normally, I am going to use like that way. I am going to develop some columns. The first column is having title as well as author's name. The second column is having normally that research problem. The third column is having objectives. Fourth is the hypothesis. Next one is that methodology. The last one is finding conclusions, like that I am going to consider. Suppose if you develop like that way, there you are going to give that the second point you just observe, credits to those who have laid the groundwork for your research. I mean, we have to mention their name. So we have to consider that source where you collected and which article or which journal and which page, which year, which topic. Like this, you are going to mention. Then only you may in ethical way. Otherwise, no, I think it's totally wrong. So that is the thing. And one more, whenever you are going to read the thing, whatever the idea they have put or they have opined or they have commented, do have your own way. Don't go with the same sentence, same line, same point. Not like that. You have to demonstrate on your own knowledge. That is the thing here we are going to consider. And then now, in what way you have understand or understood that thing, you have to prove it, or that thing you have to define it. So this is the thing you have to consider only when you go through the literature. Show your ability to critically evaluate relevant literature information. Indicates your ability to integrate and synthesize the existing literature. Provide new theoretical insights or develop a new model as the conceptual framework of your research. And it convinces your reader that your proposed research will make significant and substantial contributions to the literature. I mean, when you go for submitting your literature review, it should have some comment. It should have some discussion. It should have some conclusion. I mean, normally, those who are working under me as a research scholars, first article when they go for publishing, that must be on literature review. They are going to collect 20 or 30 literature which is highly relevant to their topic. On that, first they have to comment. or criticize or discuss. On that, they have to work. First, they have to publish that literature review based article in the journal. Then only I'm going to consider for their continuation. Otherwise, I'm not. This is my nature. I don't know whether I'm right or wrong. But normally, my students are not carrying like that way of practice. So this is the thing first we have to do. So with that, suppose if you go through that, you are very, very eminent in that subject. Definitely, I can assure. So this is the way we are going to consider where we are in a process like a literature review. The purpose, what actually the main intention to have a review of literature, the one thing, attain a good knowledge of the field of inquiry. Yes, of course, it's true. Methodology is common to the field. Yes, sometimes we don't know exactly what type of method we have to apply for our analysis part. By having these references or literature review, we may come to know that which method is very much suitable for analyzing the data. So that is the thing. For example, one example you just consider chi-square. Chi-square is what? Comparison. Normally we are going to say. There we are having two things. One is observed, another one is expected. So on what we have to set this? That thing you should know very clearly in advance. If you know that, there only it is possible. Because you know that we are having some statistical assumptions. Statistical assumptions of whether you go with correlation or regression or chi-square or ANOVA or MANOVA, even one tail, two tail, even for your sample, for example, sample design, where you go for deciding about your sample, there we are having one formula that is on the basis of the significance level. What is your degree of freedom? What is the significance level? These are all you have to consider. Otherwise, it is not possible to understand. So with that, you have to first, you can, I think, understand very clearly by having this literature review. And then proposed research is really needed. Yes, in some extent, whatever you are going to, proposing the topic or the research or issue, so that is very much required to have the base information. So that's why literature review is very much important. And then helps to narrow a problem. Yes, you can go very easily. Generation of hypotheses, research questions for further studies. These are all possible to generate or develop. It commences a long-term study of interest. Yes, in some extent, whatever the information you have collected, by that, definitely you may very confident to move forward. If you are not having any resource or information, definitely it's very difficult to imagine whatever the condition you are going to face in future. So that's why. So likewise,
sir, excuse me, sir.
I'm sorry. Yeah, please.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, in the previous slides, sir.
Yeah, I will come back. Okay.
Okay, sir. Research gap also can be added, sir. Maybe.
Oh, for literature, for identifying the research gap. Yeah, that can, yes, I agree. Because if you go with the first one, attain a good knowledge of the field of inquiry, we can consider under it that whatever you are saying. Because how you come to know that research gap? The research gap you are going to know by having only literature review. That is the thing. Yes, of course,
yes,
I agree. Sir. Yes, sir. The point is considered. We can add that can also. Not a matter.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So, see, we are having some purpose or benefits, we can say one side. At the same time, we are having some problems also. The one thing it says, lacking organization and structure. Lacking focus, unity, and coherence. Being repetitive and verbose. Failing to cite influential papers. Failing to keep up with recent developments. Failing to critically evaluate cited papers. Citing irrelevant or trivial references. Depending too much on secondary sources. Yes, in some extent, we may consider this also as a lacuna. I mean, see, lacking organization and structure. Some studies are having like that. It's very difficult to organize because some flows are not particularly in a right way. So they may consider haphazardly that at that moment it's not possible to, organize them. So there is some objectives are related to one particular, and some other objectives are related to another. In that way, they are going to mix. So some literature, for example, if you go with the literature, so what we are going to say, maybe books, maybe bulletins, maybe magazines, periodicals, journals, theses, dissertation reports, project reports, like that. There are so many avenues we are having, but organizing the information in some extent it's very difficult. Sometimes some informations be at that moment itself. Some informations are very old. Some informations are not relevant in some extent. So these are the things we may consider as a limitation. That is the thing we can. Lacking focus, unity, coherence, that is also said. Being repetitive and verbose, more repetitive words or repetitive informations like that again and again, we are going to find the same way. Failing to cite influential papers, we know that refereed, peer, cited, Scopus, Web of Science, ABDC, like that. There are so many, but in some extent it is not possible to get it. For example, elsewhere, suppose if you go with the just, so there it's very difficult to get the information. If you want to get some information through that sources, it's not so easy. You have to be pay for that in some extent. Sometimes some informations are not worked out. Suppose I think Google Scholar, you just go with that. Some journals are not possible to get it through that. So you have to pay for that only. So like this, we are having some limitations also. Problems. That is the thing. Failing to keep up with recent developments. Even suppose if you go with that census report, even today we are going to get only 2011. Now we are in 2023. But what about these 10 years or 12 years? The population size, we don't know exactly. But even we are going to quote only by having 2011 population. This is the thing. Estimations may be there, but it is not fact. So these are the things we are going to face sometimes in our literature review. So what actually we have to consider in terms of tips where you go for developing that literature part. One thing, how you are going to organize. So one thing is topical order. Another one is chronological order. One more, problem cause solution order, general to specific order, known to unknown order, comparison to contrast order, specific to general order. See how you are going to organize or arrange where you go with the literature review. Topical order, for example. So you know that, for example, suppose if you consider that work-life balance of women employees in banking sector. Suppose if you consider one topic, work-life balance. Can we consider for the similar way stress management of women employees in banking sector? Likewise, we can say quality of work life of women employees in banking sector. Hope you are understanding what I am saying here. Work-life balance, quality of work life, stress management. Can we consider all are similar in the some manner? Can we? Work-life balance, quality of work life, stress management. Can we consider in a similar manner?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is it not? Definitely. All are similar. Whether you focused on quality of work life or work-life balance or stress management, in some extent, you have to consider hand-to-hand approach. Is it not? So that's why. So you have to, suppose if your topic is work-life balance means, I'm not going to say don't consider stress management, don't consider quality of work life. No, not like that. You have to consider that can also in some extent. Or even job attrition and job retention. Suppose job attrition and job retention. Can we consider in a similar way? Hope you are understanding what I am asking. Job attrition and job retention. Job attrition strategies, job retention strategies. These are the topics. Here I am saying in some extent they are similar. Are you agree with me? Yes
Can,
or no?
can, sir.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
How? Say some few words on that.
Job retention,
Job attrition.
job attrition.
Hmm. They are in two-sided of the door, you know. Job attrition is one side, job retention is one side, but they are facing in one door. Is it not? I think all are quit.
No, sir, everyone is here following. Following.
No one is speaking. I hope you are understanding what I am asking. Job attrition and job retention.
Retention, job retention.
Sir, attrition voluntarily leave from the institution.
Which one?
Attrition.
Yeah.
Voluntary or maybe involuntary, sir.
Yeah, that's why here I am asking.
The voluntary, I think so, voluntary.
Yeah, no. Voluntary or compulsory, that is different. But these two issues are facing one to another. Is it not?
Yes, sir.
One side is
Retaining means
active,
trying to
other side
continue
is
in the job.
Huh?
Retaining job retention means trying to make the employee continue in the job.
Yeah.
Attrition means vacating the position due to some reason.
Yeah, where there is more scope on attrition, there we are going to think on retention.
Retention.
Where there is a retention, there is no scope for attrition.
Attrition. Okay, sir. Okay.
That's why, because when you think of any topic, we have to consider like this way. Then only it's very easy to gather some information which is highly relevant to that. Is it not?
Sir, one more point for this.
Yeah, please.
With reference to attrition,
Ah,
company, say for example, BSNL or VSNL, they are giving a golden handshake for different reason.
yes.
But when it comes to retention, where people who are performing better, they are using innovative strategy to retain them.
Yes.
Means it all depends on the company situation and the performance of the employees. They use both the strategies, sir.
Yeah, that golden handshake is happened only by the cause of layoff.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Retrenchment, actually. That is the reason. But here, IT sector is having this problem is normally.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, every employee is not retaining always in the same organization normally. So
Yes,
for
sir.
that, they are going to apply this strategy, retention as well as attrition problem. These
Yes,
are
sir.
common. Here, why I am quoting these topics. So sometimes it is very much close to that. So then we can think on that also. Whatever I mentioned earlier, that work-life balance or quality of work-life or stress management. So when you go for gathering information, you can get it some other wing also, other phase also. So that's why I just said it. Okay. So another chronological order. What actually our scholars are doing sometimes, they are gathering information, but they are not putting in a proper way. Whether it may be a ascending or descending, period wise. Suppose if you are taking any subject for present scenario, so if you go with the literature, definitely it's a previous information. So where you put in order, that should be ascending or descending. Ascending is good, I think. Normally from 10 years back to now, you can consider that is ascending. 2012 to 2022, if you put the literature information, that is right way. If you consider descending, I think it may be different. That is the thing. Chronological order means it's very much important to follow, but some persons are not following like that way. And then problem, cause, solution, order. Yes, that is also the whatever that evolution. So whenever you are going to get any topic, that when it start and how it is flowing, so how it is modifying. So in that way, you are going to consider or macro view to micro view, or known to unknown, or comparison to contrast. Like that, suppose if you arranging, then it's very easy to understand for others where you go with your work. So that is the thing here we are going to follow as in terms of important tips where you go for developing a literature review in your thesis. Likewise, we are having some referencing norms. Most of the moment when we go with literature review, normally we are going to avoid hard two things. One is MLA format, another one is APA format. Most of the scholars are not known what you mean by MLA and what you mean by APA, but still they are in confusion. We are having like that some other also. Here I have mentioned some other scientific style, Harvard referencing style, IEEE referencing, Vancouver. So these are all in some extent science related, engineering related. So everything social science related. Normally we are having two styles. One is MLA, another one is APA. Can you know anybody what you the expansion of MLA and APA? Anybody? MLA means or APA means modern languages of association. Is it right? Am I right? Modern language association. Yes, there is. Okay, I'll leave it now. If not, it's not a matter. Normally, we are going to use MLA format or APA format, but in India, most of our authors are following their own style, but that style should also have some way. So normally here we are going to preferring like this way because when you go for referring some foreign authors, they are not one author, normally two or three, and the same time their name is not in a short form. It's a very lengthy. So at that moment, in what way I have to put it. So that is the thing. ML and APS is like that. There is a one contradiction between these two concepts. I mean the formats. One says put it all the names. Another says no, only a single name is enough. Author, for example, Ram, Easton or something like that. There are 3-4 names. So just Ram et al. Put it suppose Ram et al. Et al means and others. So Ram and others. That's enough. Some one MLA format says that AFA says no, everyone you should put it all the 3 authors you mentioned like that they are saying. That's why our Indian authors are following their own style, but normally we are also following one author surname is enough and others is enough. So that is the thing. Ram and others, that's enough. Author, period and date. The time is also very much important. When it was published, what is the period, whether it may be a year or date, suppose if it is, you have to give it. Then title of the topic, you have to put it in bold letters. Title of the topic, put it in inverted comma. Then core theme with the objective. What actually they have stated or opined or proposed or concluded. That is the thing you just considered. And what method as well as in what way they have analyzed that thing also you mentioned. And then what actually their conclusion or findings, that also you can mention. Then page number, that where it is published, that is editor or organization, and which year, that can also you can mention in the bracket. So if you put like this way of presentation related to your literature review, then it's very easy to understand. But some of our scholars are not following like this. Whatever they have referred, the same thing they are going to copy. So this thing is not good. So that is the thing here I just want to say, because here afterwards, the research activity is not only a special activity, it's a very common activity, because in future we may have one course, whatever we have BCom honors, MCom, like that, we may have one more, that is research PhD course, that can also we may have. So that's why you should understand very clearly and communicate to all also. So now we are having one more content.
Sir, in the previous slide, you mentioned about page number, editor. These things will come under this bibliographic partner. So inside the literature review, we generally discuss about the author, title of the topic, and their objectives, their findings, and conclusion, isn't it?
Even if you put it, it's not a wrong, because I think you know the footnotes. Footnotes,
Yeah.
I think you may be aware of.
Yeah, nowadays footnotes are mostly they are not using. Sir.
Yeah, they are not following. But earlier,
Yeah,
format also we are following, isn't it? See,
okay, yeah.
why we leave that footnote nowadays, you know. At the end, it is not possible to consider again.
Okay.
If you mentioned everywhere in page itself, there is no scope for developing bibliography or references like that.
Yes.
That's why now they are not considered. Actually, we have to, but now it is not possible. And at the same time, I think you may agree with me. Now we are not in that serious level of learning. We are not. Earlier, that source is very limited. With
Yeah.
that, we are going to mention everything.
Yes,
But
yes.
now we are not like that. There are n numbers. If you give one topic to Google engine, it gives lakhs together, crores together. Where is the scope for reading all the things? That definitely it is not possible. So with that here now, we are putting even some extent, I can challenge over this thing, whatever we are putting in bibliography in the thesis, sometimes it may not be included there also. Only bibliography is giving that list, but there is no such information in the thesis itself. Are you agree with me? Huh?
Maybe referencing section. I think nowadays they are seriously, external experts, they are seriously cross-checking, sir. Maybe referencing.
If they are very serious, definitely they can identify.
Yeah.
Now, in my experience, I am thinking they are not that serious level. Normally, everything is common now. The thing is not that level of seriousness. It's okay, but it should not be common. The thing now, likewise, we are having a research gap is also one more issue to consider. Here, I think you know that by having your literature review, we are going to define the research gap. A research gap is defined as a topic or area for which missing or insufficient information limits the ability to reach a conclusion for a question. Yes, in some extent, that the scope of further research or limitations, whatever we discussed, the thing you can say in terms of research gap. A research need is defined as a gap that limits the ability of decision makers from making decisions. So when you think of that gap, research gap is having different types. And not with only one word to say. Here we are having past knowledge as well as the expected knowledge. So there gap in population, gap in analysis, gap in implications, gap in method, likewise gap in concepts, gap in perspectives, a gap in theory, gap in methodology. Here there are so many gaps to consider. Whenever you go with the literature review, there you are going to mention according to on the basis of your research type, whether it may be a descriptive or whether it may be a explorative or empirical or a basic or fundamental, like that. That is the thing you have to understand very clearly first. By having your literature review, so there you are going to identify what are the weaknesses or what are the barricades. Suppose if you find where you are in any work, so there you can consider it in terms of it's one kind of opportunity for a researcher. So with that, he is going to think on what type of research I am going to do. So we know that very exactly. That is, we are moving towards known to unknown. So that is the thing here. We have to think that conceptual frame into that is a new theoretical frame. So that with that perspective, we have to consider the research gap. So then
Gap in period also can be considered. Sir.
yeah, that can also. Yeah, normally, if 15 years or 20 years is over, you can start once again. That is also possible too. But that can also possible. Yes, of course, I agree. Identifying
what kind of impetus they given for research subject in NEP, sir?
Impetus you are asking.
Yeah.
Now here, you know that it's very clear. It's a skill-based, talent-based, the skill-based research they are going to ask actually. So that should be create some career. That should be create some business opportunity, like that way only they are thinking. But even now I think our scholars or teachers are not thinking in that way. Of course, the science in the field of science is possible, but in commerce, I don't know in what way we are going to think. Of course, in some business aspects that can also supported by science. With that, I think that NEP is highly focused on skill-based. You know that even the primary education is also based on that.
Are they insisting primary level data projects at the undergraduate level, sir?
Yeah, they are. Actually, we are waiting for that actually. When we go for starting that honors, there only we may come to know that because the syllabus is not framed, where the syllabus will framed at that moment only I think we have come to know that what actually the exact, philosophy behind it. We don't
Yeah,
exactly, but
why?
as
Because
saying,
after honors, they can directly go for a PhD, isn't it?
yeah, definitely. It's a provision that they have provided. 75% is must. The percentage they have to reach 75%. Then they go for directly research.
Okay.
And now even now our the UGC chairman is allowed some industrialists also worked as a professor of practice. I think you may be
Yes.
aware of professor of practice. Now those who completed 10 years experience in industrial line, they may come for teaching. That can also possible now. So I mean, it's only because of that skill development or some new ventures to start in that way. Startup concept, I think you know that. Startup concept is highly based on this only. So that is the thing. Mudra or startup, we are having already in that, but after honors, we will come to know that in what way this PhD will considerable. I don't know exactly. Even I am also very, behind in that, I think. Okay.
Karnataka is the forerunner now. NEP Karnataka is the state which is first introduced. We are slowly,
Yes.
once we know the nitty-gritties of NEP, after 4 years only, it is some states are ready to adopt, sir.
Yes. But I'm already told in the beginning itself, without having any proper preparation, it's very difficult to execute, I think. But we are in already implemented and following. But see, the syllabus is framed by the state government, higher education council. If it is common to all, where there is the scope of development, where there is the scope of innovations, it's very difficult, is it not?
Yeah.
Suppose if we by one controlling authority always throughout the state or throughout the country. I'm sorry?
No, sir. No. Yes, sir. It has to be like that.
Yeah, now whatever we have the SSLC board or PUC board, like that, I think in future we may have collegiate board. If you have like the situation, there is no scope for research, I think.
Is there any change in
No
evaluation
possibilities
pattern,
also.
sir?
Just only
Evaluation. Are they suggesting any change in evaluation pattern, sir?
the changing evaluation part is, I think, even under discussion. I think not yet implemented or not. I think not yet framed. I also, but I think in future we may have like that. I don't know exactly, but we may have. That also possible. In what way you are thinking evaluation method?
No, actually, in universities like JNU, they are not going for foreign external examiner evaluation. They are just limiting with the internal examiners. If NEP is suggesting for local examiners for PhD level, and sometime it may have both merit and demerit there.
Yes, definitely. Actually, earlier we had like the system. Foreign valuers are also in our system actually. But now some universities are even now following. In Tamil Nadu, we are having foreign adjudicators.
Yes,
But in
almost all the
Karnataka,
universities.
some universities
Almost all.
no, in Karnataka, I'm not finding foreign examiner. There is an option, but no one is preferring. And one more, in Karnataka, some universities are following only internal, not external also. But in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, I have experienced, but they are having foreign examiner and local examiner as well as other state examiner.
Other state examiner, yes.
Yeah, that is the thing is going on there. But in Karnataka, particularly in our university, we are having only internals. There is no scope for any external for conducting the viva or submission like that. For valuation only, one other state examiner is there. So this is the thing. That evaluation process is very much important. Whatever you said, it is right. But that should be mandatory for all. Then only it is possible to get very good quality work. Otherwise, it is not possible.
In Tamil Nadu here, it is other state. Sorry, other university.
And foreign examiner also.
Yeah, other university, other state, other country.
Yeah. I have attended some open defense viva was, for Kerala and Tamil Nadu I have attended. There they are having, even now, if they are not coming up possible to come, so they are arranging one more person, those who are working somewhere else. So that is the thing they are following. But even in Bangalore also, we have some external examiner. But in Karnataka, we are sorry, in Mysore, we are not having. This is the thing is, this is according to their convenience. You know that valuation of our scripts, you know, that answer scripts for our graduates or postgraduate students. We are having single valuation now. Earlier, it is double valuation. For double valuation, that may have some quality. But now single valuation, there is no scope for any quality. That you know that. Earlier that how was the valuation system, now how is going on the present valuation system. I think you may be aware of at least. Is it not? So these are all, I think we have to face. It's not a matter of changing, but whatever the system is saying, we have to follow it. That's all. Okay, I'll leave it that. I think it may take more time to discuss. So just suppose if you go through this sentence, if you are not agree with that, please tell me. Here just identifying the reasons for the existence of the research gap. So that is the thing. Here we need to consider 4 characters. Particularly, it's very important that population based or intervention based or comparison based or outcomes based or settings based. So by having these concepts, you are going to identify the research gap. So through that only, whatever the gap you are going to identify, that is highly relevant to any one of it or all of it. That is the thing we are going to consider. So by having that research gap, you are going to conceive the research questions. So the main thing is here, the research question is the uncertainty about something in the population that the investigator wants to resolve by making measurements on his study subjects. Here, there is no scope for that one leads to another. I mean, where he go for developing questions, so he can raise anything. So the thing is, it should be very clear. I mean, flow as well as it should get some good information. Then only it is possible. Otherwise, the questions may be, I think, having no any boundary for that. But it should have some flow. That is the thing here it says. Okay. So for that here, for established investigator is having some type of questions he is going to develop. Likewise, the new or other investigator is also considered in another way. So this is the way we are going to consider for developing research questions. So I think you are understanding here. If you are not agree with any, I mean, sentence, you can ask. Mastering of literature, being alert to new ideas and techniques, keeping the imaginations roaming, attending seminar, workshops and conferences. Suppose if we have like that way of attitude, then only it is possible to raise the questions. Otherwise, he has to copy. That's all. Okay. The research question is, should have like this way, something you want to know about your discipline or about a specific area within your discipline, not a topic or fragment or phrase or sentence. It ends with question mark. Clear and precisely stated. It is not too broad or not too narrow. It should be open-ended as opposed to closed. It cannot be answered in a sentence or phrase. Hope you are understanding and accept it. Because when you go for developing any research questions, that should have a broader meaning. So there is no any open-ended yes or no, not like that. It should have some information. So that's the thing you need it. By having the questions only, you can start your work. So that's why the research question is very much important and it's a base for your developing objectives of the study. That is the thing here I'm going to say. So research problem, another content. I think it is not possible to cover all the things in whatever the time we have given. But that's why here I'm going to say in terms of the contents itself. I will come to the first slide, whatever I have shown, the flow, that research problem. You know that by having your research problem, you are going to develop, I'm sorry, by having your research gap and research questions, you are going to develop your research problem. What is this research problem? I mean, whatever you have raised the question, that questions may have some problem. Why not? Suppose if you think in that way, so that you can define in terms of one paragraph or one note or one, what we can say, one report like that. You can develop in terms of it. So that is the thing. Research problem is very much important to define your work, what actually you are going to do by having this issue. In that way, you are going to develop. Where you develop that research problem by having your questions, immediately you have to defend your work, what for it. So where you would define that need of the study or need for the study or significance of the study or importance of the study. So there you have to start with your work. Normally, we are going to categorize the research work into three processes. One is the basic, another one is process, one more is the conclusion. I mean, basic preparation means here up to research problem, you are going to prepare what way you are going to start your work and what actually your work is. So how I am going to proceed means that is process will start actually. Research design normally start with research objectives. So research objectives. So where you go for developing objectives, you have to consider, normally our scholars or our students are considering the first objective always start with to study, to understand, to know, like that. So as a research scholar, you should not be used to know, to understand, to study. Why you know? To study, to understand, to know means it's not a research. Research says what? It's a movement between known to unknown. If you know already, now you are going to move forward with unknown information. So then what for you are going to say to study, to know, to understand? Already you have studied, already you have understood, already you know. So now you have to analyze whatever you have studied, whatever you have understood. You start with to analyze whatever the concept you have selected. That thing first you have to follow. To analyze, then to evaluate or to assess or to examine, like that. To analyze, to evaluate, to identify, to develop. Like this, suppose if you start your objectives on the basis of your questions, then it's right. Some of our scholars are not following in that way. To study, to know, to understand, like that only they are going to say. No, it's wrong actually, totally. Even some books are saying like that. Don't use anywhere in your objective the word like to study, to understand, to know, like that. So where you develop that objectives, normally you have some questions. That question turned into objectives. Now that objectives is having some idea. Whatever the questions, you may have some answers also already. That answers you are going to say in terms of hypothesis. Hypotheses are an assumptions or any predictions or tentative answers or solutions or some outlook. So these are the things we are going to say in terms of hypothesis. So here it's a tentative, whether it is proved or not proved. So normally we know that the hypotheses are generally two hypotheses. One is null, another one is alternate. Null hypothesis always with negative questions. I mean negative way. There is no negative form. Okay. So that is the way we are going to say. So where you develop that hypothesis, immediately you have to define your boundary. What boundary you are going to cover, or what dimension you are going to focus. What is your limitation? In that way, you are going to develop the whole work, whatever you are going to proceed, that thing you are put in the scope of the study. And then you start with one more content, that is methodology, research methodology. In that, normally we are going to start with what is the sources of information. Sources of information you may consider primary, secondary. Nowadays we are having tertiary also. That is Google information. So what type of data your study is based on, whether it is purely on primary or secondary or tertiary, like that. So you know that we are having project work, we are having dissertation work, we are having thesis work, we are having book writing. So these are all some kind of information gathering. So what type of information you are going to gather, how you are going to gather, whether you are going to consider direct interview method or questionnaire method or any other observations or testing or experimenting, like that you are going to mention in your methodology in the beginning. After that, you have to decide about your sampling. What amount of sampling you are going to consider, what is your significance level, whether, because sometimes we are having some errors. It is not possible to get 100% relevant information. So with that, here we are going to consider some degree of freedom. I mean, the significance level, 90%, 95%, 99%, like that we are having. According to that, we are going to decide about the sample. For that, we are having some tables also. If it is probable sampling or non-probable sampling, there also we are going to decide about the tool. So how we are going to consider the sample, and we are having some tables also, Morgan table as well as Stanford University table. So by having it, whatever your population size, according to that, it will give. Even in your mobile phone also, you can get it. If it is probable sampling, what it may be the sample size. If it is non-probable, I mean infinite, there also what it may be the sample size, you may decide about it. We have one calculator, sample size calculator. It is possible to get it in your Google. So through that, suppose if you give, for example, there is a one standard population is there. For example, KSRTC employees. KSRTC employees all over the Karnataka may be around 35,000. That is probable sampling. Here you are going to consider what actually how they are going to practice the performance appraisal system for them. So there you are going to choose some sampling. So you are going to consider some hierarchy from the top level to bottom level. There are some level of job. So according to that, you are going to gather. Suppose if it is 35,000, what it may be the sample total. Suppose if it is 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, like that you can get it. That sample size decision. So in that way, sampling design is not a matter nowadays. So it's very easy. So that can also you are going to consider. After gathering of data, how you are going to analyze the data. So what are the tools you are going to apply? There are so many tools to consider. So with that, suppose if your hypothesis is related to relationship, so their correlation, regression, chi-square, t-test, like that you are going to apply. If it is differences or in deviations or in variations, there you know that variance, standard deviation, covariance, again that differences like what we can say ANOVA, MANOVA, like that we are having some tools. So these are all you are going to mention in the kind of content like that is research methodology. Normally, the first chapter, in research thesis, so there is a synoptic note, is having one chapter scheme also, how you are going to develop the chapter. Chapter scheme is very simple. Chapter 1 is introduction. Chapter 2 is literature review and the theoretical or conceptual framework. See, literature review and theoretical framework or conceptual framework. Suppose if you are going to give chapter 2 is a conceptual framework of your topic, that's enough. That includes literature review as well as theory. If you are saying separately, literature review is one part, theoretical framework is one part. That is the thing we are going to consider. Likewise, industry, company, and respondent profile. Here, sometimes we may have in a broad or broader way, there is macro view industry. Suppose if you are in a specific way, that is company. Sometimes respondents are more important than the industry or company. There, you are going to give a profile of the respondents also. For example, housing loan, suppose if you go for a work on that, there your respondents are very much important, beneficiaries, suppose if you think. So likewise, you are going to develop. Then one more chapter, we are going to consider data analysis and interpretations. So there, again, whatever methodology you have said it, that thing you are going to follow here. You know that in data analysis and interpretations, normally we are having personal factors as well as study factors. Personal factors means demographic factors. For demographic factors, we are going to analyze through Pareto as well as Ishikawa analysis. Pareto and Ishikawa, I think you may be aware of or not, but normally very common word we are going to use apart from that, I mean alternate word for graphical analysis and tabular analysis. Ishikawa and Pareto, they have contributed this graphics as well as table. So, but we are using tabular as well as graphical. But actually, that should be say in terms of Pareto as well as Ishikawa. So likewise, that is the thing we are going to consider for another data, I mean the study factors that maybe have some descriptive statistics as well as correlation or regression, even ANOVA, MANOVA, like that we are going to apply. So these are all we are going to consider under data analysis and interpretation. What for we are going to give or apply these scientific way of applications that we may believe in some time, some extent, that data may be accuracy or that data may be have what the real figures or facts like that. We have some assumptions with that. On the basis of that, whatever the inferences you have developed, so that thing you are going to again interpreting in findings and suggestions. But most of our scholars are doing whatever the interpretations they are going to get by having the table or graph, the same inferences putting in findings also, but it's not good actually. They should interpret in a different manner. Findings means what for the data is happening or appearing, that thing they have to explain. On that base, they have to develop the suggestions. Most of our scholars are developing the suggestions in a general way. No, not like that. We should focus whatever according to the findings. If we give in that way, that is the thing is enough. Sometimes we are seeing finding, suggestions, and conclusion is one single chapter. But conclusion is not like that. Conclusion should have all the things. It's just like one kind of summary. So in what way your work starts and in what way your work ends. So the whole thing, you have to share your experience in that and comment and critique, even discuss. All these things, suppose if you think on that, then only it is very in the complete work. Otherwise, it's not good. Likewise, this references, bibliography, questionnaire, annexure, so these are all some what we can say suffixes. So with this, I think normally we are following the format like the research format. I hope definitely you may agree with this format. And already somebody told we are in now like this way of only, sir. There is no any other way of presentation. So in that way, they said it. It's really very good because now we are moving normally to Bangalore because we are given some affiliations to PhD work also. There even we are finding they are not following this format. So with that information only I have raised it. I think you are agree with me whatever I have given the format. So anyway, up to here you have listened my voice at least. And then I hope my information may be very much useful for you. With that, I would like to convey my gratitude to one and all. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, one more thing.
Yeah, please. Now, if you have any questions, please.
Sir, what is your opinion about pilot study?
Sorry, 1 minute. Pilot study is very much important to start your work normally, because where you go for deciding your sample size, the pilot study is the base. Pilot study actually it gives the feasibility of study. If you have like that mindset, then it's it's very useful. Pilot study is very much useful, and it's very easy to understand in what way you are going to start your work and who are your respondents, how they are going to respond, because there normally you are going to take 50 to 100 samples. Where you meet that 50 people, by that only you may have very good experience for the study. Otherwise, it is not possible to go directly with the 300 questionnaire, 400. Nowadays, there is no such scope also. Most of our scholars are putting that questionnaire in Google form. I hope you may be aware of that Google form. I don't know in what way that is useful. One questionnaire is enough. That to hard copy is not necessary. If you put it here, you are going to gather that information. Means how it is very much relevant to your work. I don't know exactly. Most of our scholars are doing like that way. If it is open topic or it is highly related to common public, then it's okay. But in Google form, everything will be. I am going to see normally. I think it's not good also. What do you say for this?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah.
Sir, one general question, sir, other than research, sir.
Tyndall question.
In Tamil Nadu, if the PG students wants to join PhD full-time or part-time, they must clear PhD entrance exam. Is there any entrance exam to join PhD in Karnataka, sir?
Yeah, we have. In Karnataka also we have. All universities are conducting entrance also. But one problem, where they're conducting entrance test for PhD admission, but most of the passers, they are not getting, guideship.
Expected marks.
Yeah, no, not expected marks. Even they are not getting that guide also, because the NET holder, KSET holder, they are coming, and even JRF also. So with that reason, those who are taking that entrance exam, they have to wait. They are permitted up to 2 years, but sometimes they are going to miss also. This can also possible. Yes, of course.
Part-time also, sir?
Part-time also, but no one is willing to take entrance exam holder. Only they are going to take NET or KSET or JRF, because they are eligible. They are eligible for teaching. So with that, they can start PhD. In that way, we are thinking. Even I am also not willing to take entrance holder. Only I am going to take NET or KSET, because without it, how it is possible? In that way, I am thinking. So with that, I am not taking, but not everyone. Somebody are taken. Everywhere, I think entrance test is there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Sir, nowadays many researchers use new statistical techniques, sir, to make value added to their thesis. How do you think about, sir?
No, whatever you use it, it's not a matter. But is it suitable for that thing we have to think? Because see, the questionnaire, I hope you may agree with me, the questionnaire nowadays we are seeing only scaling technique, 5-point scale. Only agree, disagree, not agree, like that only we are seeing. Are you agree with me? Most of the questionnaires are having only 5-point scale or 7-point scale. There, you just think on that. Which tool is, very much suitable for, considering for analysis? It's very difficult to decide, because we are having so many techniques. Even multiple choice we have, is it not? We have scaling. In scaling, we are having different scales also. But no one is thinking on that. And even where they go for developing scaling technique, there is a statements, positive statements as well as negative statements. They don't know which is positive, which is negative. For that, they are putting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then negative is what? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They have to put it, but they are not. So then how it is possible to apply new technique? Where, suppose if you think that SEM model, structural equation model, where this is applicable, where there are more variables are considerable, there only it is possible to apply. But even without it, they are going to apply SEM or KMO or like that. There are so many things. I think it's not necessary to consider. But if it is very much suitable, then it's really acceptable.
Sir, one more point added you, sir.
Huh?
One more point that I want to add at it.
Yeah, please.
Even statisticians are recommending the 5-point scale. That is a problem here.
That is a problem, because
Yes.
he don't know what he is going to interpret or what is he going to analyze. Only he is going to apply with the SPSS. Whatever the data table he is going to get it, that will give to you. You have to develop the interpretation. Even the scholar is also not known how to develop my interpretation in some extent. I have seen it actually. That's why we are compelled. Everyone should learn SPSS. Through that, they have to work only, and they have to defend what for they applied the technique. Normally, so many are doing like that mistakes actually. Yeah. Any else? So over. I think one of you are having that responsibility to conclude.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Okay, sir. Formally, vote of thanks, sir.
Yeah, I think if you have any questions, I am ready to answer. If not, I think it is better to meet with the last stage.
Okay, sir. Respected resource person on this session, respected director, respected course coordinator of UGC, University of Mysore, and a heartfelt academic fraternity of various colleges. Good afternoon to all. It is my pride and privilege to propose vote of thanks in this great occasion. on behalf of UGC-HRDC, University of Mysore. First, I express our sincere thanks to Dr. B. Nagaraju, sir. Sir spent with us delivered an excellent session on research methodology. Sir covered in the content of research. Research must be understood to research. Why undertake research? Sources of research topics. Important talk of literature review. Purpose of a literature review. Important tips. Identifying resource for the extent of a research gap, etc. Sir, we had an excellent experience session, and I am sure all the participants inspired and thinking new idea by your great talk. Thank you, sir.
But one major drawback by having like this offline program, we are not introduced ourselves. Of course, you may know my name, but I am not knowing who are there. This is the one great mistake we are having actually. It's okay. First, actually, we need to have some introduction session, but it takes half an hour for that. It's not possible also. Who are maybe I have my friends here also, but I don't know exactly who are there. So all of you are really thankful to you because you have given your time for me. Thank you. Thank you, Ananta. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for a wonderful session.
Thank you, sir.